We're just outside Second Comber here, the church where I minister. Maybe you have your own church building or a special place that means a lot to you. This building obviously means a lot to our folks, and since the shutdown, it's missed more and more. If you look up to the pinnacle, you will see the date 1839. That's when the foundation stone was laid, and then this building was opened in 1840. And with a few changes, it has remained very much the same. This very difficult time, it makes me think how it has stood almost as a sentry over the street and looking over the town here. It has witnessed the Great Famine. It has witnessed the First War, the Spanish flu pandemic of 1919, then going into the Great Depression in the 1930s, the Second War, and of course, more recently, the troubles that have occurred in our province. It has seen a lot, and it still stands in the midst of all these challenges. It means a lot to the folk who are connected to the town, but particularly to this congregation. Let's go inside. Welcome back inside the building, and I am sure there's quite a wee bit of reflection from those who worship here regularly, because as we just look around, we see how everything has been closed for the past number of weeks, and folks no longer can be here. I know you're linking into our virtual services, but we all know it's not quite the same as being close and face to face. But in this building, at the end of all our services, I have a benediction. Whether it be a wedding, a funeral, or indeed just any service each week, you'll always see the word at the end, benediction. Recently, it has been striking me how we use words in the church. And we know what they mean, but maybe somebody who hasn't been here for some time or not connected isn't as up to speed on the language we use. And we perhaps need to relearn on what we say and what's understood. So, what is a benediction? I want to just stop there for a second and link in to a conversation that I heard on the radio. It's quite a few years ago. You may remember the late Jerry Anderson. He was a conversationalist, interviewer on Radio Ulster, and you usually got a programme most mornings. What caught our attention so often was to do with characters, I would call them, who rang in. You never knew who would ring to him, and he could banter back as well as they could give it. At the end of one conversation, I remember a man saying these words to Jerry, just as he finished. Jerry, may you live as long as you want to, and never want as long as you live. It was a way of saying, Jerry, I hope things go well with you. Have a good day, or as we in Ulster would say, all the best. And when Jerry received that, he knew there was a person at the end wishing him well for the day ahead. Now, I'm not saying that's what a benediction is, but if you start there, you'll maybe begin to see what I mean. It's at the end of the service, and we're asking for God, who alone can control our lives and the length of them, to keep us for the days ahead and the weeks to come. We're praying that God might bring his blessing at this moment. Now, a benediction I use quite often goes like this. May the peace of God, which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in the knowledge and love of God and of Jesus Christ, his Son. I have used it in so many different ways here. In fact, those were my closing words on Sunday morning last when we put our service out across the web. May the peace of God keep your hearts. It's like a sentry on duty, and the word keep there links into that picture. May the peace of God be on duty. May the peace of God always be there to hold you. And it's something for the mind. May he keep our minds and our hearts. At the moment, our minds perhaps are not sure where to go. In the midst of this virus, in the midst of challenges, or sadly those who have known the pain of the virus striking them or their families, or on occasion seeing death itself. I don't know which way to turn. May the peace of God keep your mind. And then he says your heart. And the biblical way of understanding heart is the whole person, the very soul, our whole being. What makes us us? Once again, we can feel ourselves almost lost in times of trouble. So that's the benediction I tend to use. I hope the word means something now. You might ask, well, how do I say it or why? This is my Bible that I've used all my ministry, about 40 years now. And I write an odd thing in the loose cover. Here's something I wrote. In fact, I read it at the last time we had a gathering for prayer here, which was just before the lockdown. And so I read it to everybody today. Some words from a former rector of All Souls Church in London, a church that has probably influenced many of us who are ministers. Richard Hughes wrote, and he himself has passed away, "Fear not for tomorrow, for God is already there." And the more I think of those words, the more they challenge us with all our fears for tomorrow, not knowing what lies ahead. But when you think about it, God's already there. And from there, he speaks to now saying, fear not, because I'm ahead. I wonder, could I finish by doing what I normally do at the end of a service and ask for that benediction upon you and upon yours, from wherever you come and however you feel you are today, and whatever needs or hopes you have. May the peace of God, which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in the knowledge and love of God and of Jesus Christ, his Son.